Hello everyone, Hayden VK7HH here for Ham Radio DX. How are you wherever you're joining in this morning? At the moment it's 6 a.m. here at the moment. This morning I've really woken up, although I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for this one because I'm really looking forward to this live stream today. I just noticed a couple of chats in the comments there that Radio Runner has said that he... I don't have my makeup on, but I've tried my best anyway. So we'll see how we go. And hello to everyone else. We'll field some comments there shortly. Just a couple of housekeeping things I want to do. I want to ask if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up if you haven't already done so. Also hit the subscribe button below. I want to welcome my newest patron, Novalord, to the contest station tier. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you to my Ultimate DX channel members. Can you hear how tired I am in my voice? That's right. We'll get through that once we get back to the end of the show. So my Ultimate DX channel members, Peter, VK7PD, Rod, Chris Home, VK Radio, and Paul, VK0PD, who's operating from Casey Station in Antarctica. So that's good. Paul caused a bit of a pile-up on 20 metres the other day when he jumped on the air. So good on you, Paul, if you're watching. And if you'd like to become a channel member and support Ham Radio DX, there's a join button below, and that will show you all the options that you have for joining there. Just a couple of chats here. Who have we got in the live chat? As I said, we've got Radio Runner who says it'll be 6 in the morning. That is very much correct. We do have our guest in the chat as well. We've also got Ron Stark, N80N. Thank you very much for joining us. Steve G0LQP as well. Hello to you, Steve. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Who else have we got? Also got Chad. Yo, bro. thanks, Chad. And we've also got Marty KM6PRA. Afternoon all. So thank you very much for joining in today. So now, with all that out of the way, I'm excited to have a very special guest on the show. He's the man that needs no introduction. Well, actually, no, let's give him an introduction, shall we?
DX Commander. DX Commander.
I didn't warn you about that, so we've given you a bit of an intro. How are you, Cal?
Yeah, I'm top banana. Just making sure my levels are all right, Hayden, because we have
levels are perfect.
A little chat earlier on. You've caught me with the coughs. I could have muted myself, but too late for that. I'm in the live chat as well, and I've just publicised this link on my Discord, so we might get a few hecklers with any luck.
Hello to everyone in the DX Commander Discord. So
welcome to your lot.
We welcome hecklers. That's okay.
Good. So where do you want to start with this, old boy?
Well, the first thing I want to start with, I'm listening. I've got to fix the audio in this room because I've heard a crow outside the window that's just crowing. So I don't really know what's going on there. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. So, yes, Lord Callum, the DX Commander. Are you actually a Lord?
Yes, but it's a purchased Lord for 25 bucks.
Because you can get that from Scotland, can't you?
For me. Yeah, you buy a square foot. I do physically own a square foot of land.
Yeah.
And apparently that gives me a title. So I wasn't one of these people that actually went to the bank and changed my name. And so I'm Lord, I just thought what I'll do is for a laugh, I'll call myself a Lord occasionally, and I change my email address just for shits and giggles, as they say.
Well, yeah, I've known a few people that have gone and purchased that, and they've got the title and everything, and the photograph of the small half a square metre of land that they've purchased. So
yeah. I got a certificate, coat of arms. I was thinking of using that on the DX Commander product. Could put it on the box.
that would be pretty neat. So I do have some questions for you, but we are just going to have a little bit of a chit chat anyway. How's things over there? What have you been up to? And anything exciting? I know you just spoke to Rolly because I received an email from you that said I'll be there in 20 minutes at 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought, no, that's not quite right.
Yeah, you were the wrong guy. So what I've been doing? Well, most people will know. You might not have watched all the videos, but I've been moving factories from a tiny little place to a slightly bigger place, still small. but it's enough to fit Wendy, my wife, Lockie, my son, and me. And we could fit another couple of people in if we really needed to get packing. And that is almost complete, other than the fact that the office area will be a studio as well. So we've got the foam panels to put up. I want to put scaffold bars around the ceiling so I can hang lights, like a sort of a theatre, you know. But rather than just screwing a light into a wall, it's so much easier if you've got a scaffold bar up, hang some speakers, you know, just fun things like that. Today I've just made a video about the new DX Commander Lite, which we're calling the Rapid. And all of a sudden, as I'm making the video, I'm calling it the Rapide with an E on it.
That's all right. All the other ones have funny names. So
yeah. Why is it Rapid? I don't know. So it's based on a 7-meter pole, not a 10-meter pole. It's got little cool hexagonal plates, not round plates, a few other things. And it's aimed at those people who want to do upper HF, 30 meters and up. So, and there we are. I mean, I've never been so busy in my life. I'm 62 years old. I know I look, 25. But I tell people it's the fags, booze, and women that have kept me so young. And I would have thought at this time in my life, I should be sitting on a yacht by now. But I had a big company once, but it didn't quite make the money it should have done. So I'm a working man.
I have heard that you were going to, you put a poll out saying that you were going to do that story, but I don't think you've done it yet. But not to put you on the spot to do it now, but if you were on a yacht though,
yes,
will you be able to run will you be able to get work the DX from the yacht, and what antenna would you use?
I'd probably use a Shakespeare Marine 5300 8.5 meter vertical with a CG-5000 auto ATU at I think 500 watts. But I've noticed on a cruise ship I was recently on, about 5 years, there was a huge ATU at the base of this HF. They probably never use it. And I thought if I just climbed up there and unbolted it, it was like, like a square meter, this thing. And I thought, I bet you that'll do 1500 watts. So everything's automatic. So you just got whatever radio you want with an Icom 2000, and you just go, and the whole thing just goes click, tuned, and I'm away. Because that's what I had on my narrow boat. Okay, so a narrow boat, you fire up another window and look for a narrow boat. It's 7 foot wide, just under, up to 72 foot long. They don't make them that long anymore because all the locks have shrunk over the last 200 years. But I had a Shakespeare Marine with a CG-5000 and a TS-2000 on board, actually. And it was hilarious. Funnily enough, when the aerial was down, so just 3 inches away from the deck, it would tune on 80 meters. And I could still talk around the place. I'm driving along.
Quite capacitive loaded or something.
I think it was just, it became an NVIS thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was quite hilarious until you said towards the end that you had a boat, because I was thinking you've thought about the antenna system and the radio and everything you want to use before you decided what yacht you want to buy.
Yeah. It was going to be a Nordhaven 62.
Still can be.
Not anymore. I don't want a yacht anymore.
Don't want.
I just, priorities change.
Yeah.
I watched a very beautiful woman on YouTube the other day. Bumble, she's the founder of. She was interviewed and she said, having success and all that's great. But actually, the most important thing is your health, the people you care and love, your family, the really basic things. If you've got the really basic things, success and money are great fun. But if you haven't got the basic things, there's plenty of rich people I've met who haven't got the basics and they're miserable, aren't they?
I thought she should have also added working DX on 20 meters as well, but that's all right.
Lovely.
So we have a couple of people in the chat that have popped up. Rolly's in here.
Yep.
Good morning, Rolly. Rolly's a couple of hours in front of me, so it's not quite as early for him, but that's good to have you in. We've also got Paul. Paul says, love your new digs, Callum. Watched every video. That looks like a very nice setup that you've got at the new workshop.
It's going to be great. And I'd just like to say hello to Phil Robinson as well. He's one of my moderators.
Oh, Phil, yes. He he says you could have been Captain Cal instead of Lord Cal.
I have a T-shirt with Captain Cal on the back, actually.
Yeah.
Captain Callum, yeah.
So, yeah, hello to everyone who is joining us. So, what sparked your interest in amateur radio, and what age did you get licensed?
Well, good question. So, I think there was 3 sparks. The first spark is my father was an engineer at first, and then a businessman as he got a bit older. So he used to bring home, broken machines from work that they were throwing out. For instance, we had this re-recordable record player, and you could, say hello. It was a dictaphone, but with flimsy, magnetic records. Basically,
right.
You could re-record over it, and it wasn't working right. And I remember he stripped it down on a landing upstairs, actually, on his hands and knees, and I just watched him. And he was in the Royal Signals, and occasionally when he was drunk, he'd tell us stories about line, because he was like a linesman and a bit of RF. And I remember him trying to explain about shortwave once and how the skip at night is different on the lower bands than the high bands. And that's about as far as we got. We weren't into RF at home. I went to, basically it felt like prison, but it was a boarding school.
Yeah, so prison.
It was awful. Some kids, I think it's good for, but for me, it didn't work. And but there was this famous long wire that the Combined Cadet Force boys had. I wasn't allowed anywhere near it because I had a reputation by then. And but I could hear them.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
I could hear them chattering away, to other Combined Cadet Forces, and I just thought that was uber cool, But then I really did get a job on a private yacht called Malamba 4 1V. And we had, big aerial sticking out the top above the bridge, big antenna, probably 8-9 meters high. And this big HF set. Now, this is 79, so it's probably sort of 75, 76 vintage. Big set. You'd switch it on and it would take a time, to come alive. And occasionally I would do a bridge watch when everybody was off on shore. You just sit there, and if anything happens, well, deal with it. Don't know why they let me in charge of this yacht, but anyway. So I put this set on and I would twiddle around with it. And sometimes I'd just hear a station, and sometimes I wouldn't, I remember the captain would complain, though, because after I had used this thing, of course, he might really want to use it a couple of days later. And it would be on the wrong frequency, and all the knobs were pressed, and I'd get accused of pressing the buttons. But he would fire up, and in the middle of the Mediterranean. I couldn't believe this. He would go, Portishead Radio, this is Golf Victor India Delta. Golf Victor India Delta calling, Portishead Radio. And it was SSB. Clear as a bell, Portishead Radio would come back. We're on a big metal 125-foot yacht. This, this ocean all around us, probably 125-watt radio, Of course, we were getting out. Portishead Radio is near Bristol. And he'd make a phone call. Well, the captain would do this. He'd say, I want to phone this number. And maybe we had an account or something. I didn't know how it worked. And then the boss would talk to, his daughter or something. Tell Joe to stop doing this. Whatever. There wouldn't be any confidentiality because it wasn't scrambled or anything. It was just... So years later, when I was sat in a car with a girlfriend, as you do, he had this CB radio, and she said, "Go say 14 for a copy." You see, so I did, and somebody came back, and there and then she created a handle for me. It was Columbo. She said, "Got to be a name," and I just watched Columbo or something, and I just thought it'd be quite funny because I was nothing like Columbo, but. The TV show in America, with the detective with the overcoat, slippery guy he was. So I was Columbo for years, I had a great time.
So that's your official DX, CB handle?
It was.
Columbo.
My first DX was on Channel 1 on the regular 40 block. And I could see the meter going like, it was on 0, go, doo, doo. I thought, ooh. That's someone checking their SWR like I am. And I went, oh, checking your SWR, are you? And this guy said, Yeah, I just got the linear on today. We just want to see if we can get into Europe. And I went, oh, I thought that doesn't sound like a local. And I said, and he said, where are you, buddy? I went, I'm in Darlington Street. He said, where's Darlington Street? I said, it's in Bath. Where's Bath? It's in England. He said, hey, you got Texas here, friend. That was AM 4 watts, you see. That was magic. And I mean, and we've all had
that was
it.
on that was on 27 megs.
27 from the UK to Texas on 4 watts with just a silver rod. You know, yeah. I don't know what year that would have been. 82, 81, 83, something like that. I ruined my own hobby by buying a massive FT-101 ZD Mark III. And in fact, I've got the receipt in my CB box back here. With the ATU and the external speaker. It was a beautiful ham station, crystalled only for 11 meters, you know. I took the 40-meter crystal out and put the lower band down, 6.5 to 7, so I could get on the 6.66 Super Pirate frequency. But I heard some really bad things about what were happening to people if they were caught. So I thought that was a waste of $30 or whatever. So I didn't. I used to listen. In fact, I still do. I listen to 6.6. I think it's upper sideband. Around the world, you'll hear all sorts of weird people. Fishermen, let's call them pirates, real freebanders who are anarchists, you know, which is a shame, actually, because sometimes their operating procedure is pretty good. They got the right gear. Just spend their $20 or whatever, and they could have a license, but whatever.
We get that on the 10-meter band sometimes when summer comes along and opens up, and you hear all of usually it's all the boats that are north of Australia that are operating on pirate frequencies with pirate radios.
Just before we continue, Hayden, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Is on the 40 meters during the day, how busy is it in your part of the world?
Well, I guess it depends on the day. The weekend would be a lot busier, but it also, I think it's not too bad. It's not fully crowded, but
yeah,
it's not too bad. We do have quite a big contingent of soda chasers and activators on the band on 40 meters. That seems to be the band of choice. So
right, interesting.
But
okay,
yeah, 40 meters, I think, is probably one of the more popular HF bands here.
Right,
especially with our foundation license as well. They seem to like to go towards 40 meters. So, but yeah, I don't think I've ever worked. I'm trying to think. Can't remember if I've worked the UK on voice on 40 meters. It's the wrong time. It's always the wrong time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's why I like 40, because very often it's the right time for me. It's either early in the morning or in the evening, you know. And that's normally when I play. That's playtime for me, you know.
And you get all the DX to the States on 40 meters from there too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's got to be night time over there. So from about 10, 11, depending on the time of year, between 10 o'clock and 1 in the morning, we'll get the US. And then maybe half an hour later, you get it on 80 as well.
Yeah, because ours is generally, ours is the evening here or into the night, but then it's sort of in the middle of the morning for the US. But you do hear plenty of stations on, that's for sure. I usually hear the US on 40, but it's terribly noisy here.
Where you are?
Yeah, I'm in the city. So I need a remote station or something to get past all the noise. But so we got a few more joining in. Thank you very much. And Rolly actually made the comment. He says, right now would be a good time for you on 40 meters. Oh, I should turn the radio on, but turn that off. Otherwise, that's going to annoy me. Cool. Yeah, so that's an interesting delve into the past, Callum, with how you got in. So when did you get licensed? When were you licensed as an amateur radio operator, and what was your first call sign?
So I was M0MCX. That was my foundation call, and that was 2003. And
1 year before me.
Was that right?
I've been licensed since 2004.
Amazing. Well, in our country, we've got the foundation, intermediate, and full or advanced, or whatever you want to call it, top. But I found out that the last ever sort of radio amateur exam, old school radio amateur exam, was happening in a few months' time, just after I'd taken my foundation. And it was actually for the resits for the people that had failed it 6 months before. But you could apply anyway. So I just bought some books, read them up. I did go to a college one night a week thinking about it, but that was just to give me a bit of impetus. I don't think I really learned anything there. I learned from the books and just by going over some mock exams and just getting some confidence. And I'm convinced that I guessed the electronic ones, questions. But I was pretty good on antennas and, some of the, all the procedures and call sign and license conditions. And like all these things, Hayden, if you learn everything you can learn, right? I thought, well, if I get this, I'll be able to gradually pick up the electronics over time, which I kind of have done, really.
Yeah.
I'm not formally trained in that regard.
No. Well, don't worry, I am, but it doesn't really matter because I've forgotten half of that anyway, so I don't do that as a job. But, yeah, so you were licensed in 2003.
Yeah.
Foundation. When did you upgrade?
So it was literally within 4 to 5 months of taking my foundation that I took so I skipped intermediate and went straight to mega. Full, I think they call it now, or is it advanced? Yeah. Honestly, I can never remember.
We call it advanced here, but
maybe it's advanced.
Because we took your foundation license idea and we sort of made it our own. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, and that was
how much power does your foundation license allow?
Power, did you say? Or
yeah,
but basically you could do everything you like on 10 watts. It's just, it mirrors almost, not quite, but it almost mirrors everything you can do with a big license just on 10 watts. Of course, it's the full, says Ethan. Of course, everybody's got a 100-watt radio. And I don't know why they just don't make it 100 watts, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It seems ridiculous.
Ours is the same. Yeah. And we have strange power level limits for our other license classes as well. So standard license is allowed 100 watts for SSB, but only 30 watts for FM.
I mean, that is bananas. And because if anything is going to cause interference, ain't going to be FM.
And ours is the advanced is 400 watts for SSB, but 120 watts for FM. So
okay,
work that out.
They're thinking of the amount of RF exposure, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very concerned about that. We did have a little while ago
in Hat Brigade.
We had special permits for 1 kilowatt stations, but that was mainly for people who wanted to do EME, not for HF stations.
It's easier to get an EME notice of variation, we call it over here. 1,500 watts, 1,000 watts, I think, for Earth, Moon, Earth. Than it is for any other band.
Yeah.
I've got a plan to officially get a 1,000-watt license in the UK for regular ham radio work. But because I could buy a 1,500-watt license for commercial testing on the ham bands, but I can't use my call sign.
Yeah, it's a weird loophole, isn't it?
Yeah. What I just got to effectively pirate, read poetry. And I released a video about this not so long ago, just be a numbers station, effectively. 18729.
So what's some of the things that you've achieved over the years in the hobby or outside the hobby, if you want?
Yeah. Actually, I think being an active member of a club is difficult. And I'll tell you why, because particularly when you've got a mentality like mine, which I just want to get things done. So I'm not very good at committees and waiting for decisions. So, but the club I was at, we never had an HF field day. They were a VHF field day sort of company. And so it was easy for me to run, manage, and put on HF field day. And I liked that. And I ended up doing that for several years. And I really enjoyed the challenge of just arranging it all, getting everybody there, working out what antennas we're going to use. I was the station manager. I was the project manager. That's difficult. if you want to give it a go. It's like, which is why I find it quite easy. You know, Tom and I, a couple of years ago, we went to the hills and we took the tent, the generator, and all the toys, and we were a QRO station in the middle of nowhere. We had a mains fridge, you know, cooker. It was like full on military style de-expedition, but just in the Cotswold Hills, you know. So I think being able to put on a good portable station with computers and logging and the added complexity if you want to live stream it at the same time, that's I like a challenge like that. That's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed our field days.
Yeah,
great fun.
But now, there was an accident, of course, is that because my holidays, we'd need 2 cars. So there'd be Wendy, the 2 kids and the dog, and then the biggest station wagon estate you can buy with the 2 dogs. Oh, I think she would take the dog because we only had 1 dog then. And basically, my car was full of radio equipment. I mean, literally, I'd amplify spare radios, soldering irons, toolboxes, everything. 2 weeks down by the coast. And that was it. You know, we're on holiday. Well, you might be on holiday. I'm playing radio. You know, I work.
That is your holiday.
It's my holiday. So, I mean, I would stop for a couple of hours. We go to a restaurant, or whatever, but I'd be back. And I remember running from like 10 at night till 6 in the morning. One night I ran 500 QSOs, you know. And finally, after ZLs coming in on 40 meters, we ran about 6 ZLs, and then they went again. And I thought, okay, that's the end now. That's stateside's gone. I've done the Pacific. I'll go to bed. So I'd sleep for 4 or 5 hours, wake up about 11. You know, interface with the family.
Interface.
And I go back to bed about 3 o'clock until about 6. Go out for dinner, and then back on the radio again. A couple of times in the afternoon, I managed to even get on 20 as well.
Have you ever had that urge where you're sitting at dinner or you're doing something else and you're thinking, I know the band's open, I know the band's open, I know the band's open, and nothing else matters. You just want to get to the radio and call CQ. Maybe that's an especial problem for me when it comes to VHF, UHF, DX because it doesn't happen.
Get a gap. Yeah. You get some ducting going on. No, once I've shut down, I agree. That's it. Between now and 11 o'clock at night, whatever else, let's just, play cards, Monopoly, eat, drink, be merry, whatever else. But luckily, they all like to go to bed about 11, and I'm a late nighter. But to this day, Hayden, I still sleep about 5.5 hours at night and 2.5 hours in the afternoon. To this day, that's why I can't be employed, because at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be saying to my boss, "I've got to go to bed.
Time for a nap.
I'll be back. Quite happy to come back. I need to go." So Lockie opens the factory. By the time you get back. Lockie opens the factory at 9 o'clock. I'm in by 10 because I have a coffee and play with the dogs and whatever. I'm in by 10, and then we shut the factory at 3. And then I come home, I go to bed and wake up. But then I do all my labels normally. I save my labels because I might have like 30 orders to do, So I just sit there doing the shipping labels, listen to music. So in the morning, he knows what he's shipping, you see. That's how it works. I'm so happy, so lucky to have my son, who's quite money. I pay him now, so
he's got incentives.
Yeah,
is he licensed?
And he's quite keen, and I think he'll take his foundation just for the hell of it, to be honest.
No,
and I'm sure.
I was going to say, I know that Emily's got her call sign and her license because I've seen you do quite a few videos and live streams with her. So Lockie, your son, he's going for his foundation.
If I just bought the book, he would do it. We just need to finish this big thrust of the final move because I've got a load of shopping crates full of crap. That I said to him, "Let's finish. We've got a big thrust going. We ran out of components for a few days. They arrive tomorrow, and we just got 2 or 3 days of big shipping to do, and then we'll have a couple of days lull, and we'll sort out all my shopping boxes of just ferrites, patch leads. You imagine it. Nearly 20 years of the hobby. is now down the factory, and I've got to find a home for it all. In fact, we're going to have an open day for the locals, in the UK, and then come and see what we do and how we do it and all that stuff. And what I'll do is I'll lay all my, it's quite good stuff, rotators and all sorts. Put a realistic price on it. I'm not, I either give it away or sell it on eBay. And I'm not selling on eBay anymore. So I'll just lay it out. Reasonable price, 30 quid or whatever. People can get a bargain that way. I'm just looking down the comments, and there's all sorts of people I recognise there.
I was going to say, Rolly said, you talking about the where you want to rush off and work the DX. He said all the time it happens. 80 metres is always at dinner time. And
it is.
And Steve also says, siesta's life. I always have an hour's kip after lunch. It must be due to my Italian missus. So.
Well, there we go, Steve.
And I want to say hello to VK Radio Ham, who is a channel member, who says, Callum, one of my favourite YouTube characters. VK3 Golf Echo Kilo. So
what's your real name? VK3GEK, I wonder.
Now you put me on the spot. I could look it up.
No, well, we could. You might tell us in a minute. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So what's your most memorable contact? You've had some rare DX. What's the most memorable?
Apart from my first VK and ZL, which is, big ticket stuff for us, I used to do a lot of jamboree on the air with the Cubs and Scouts and stuff.
Yep.
And it's Graham Koch.
Oh, yeah, Graham.
And we had, in fact, Tim Beaumont, M0URX, was running the pile-up. I'm doing stuff. Wendy's there. I think we've got the kids there as well, a few helpers. And I've split the Cubs into kind of 5s or 6s because we must have had nearly 100 Cubs. And they would go around tables. They would make Morse code bangles, with different colours. And we did QSL designing, all sorts of stuff. And the culmination of all this, they'd queue up, you see. And so, and Tim would get some unsuspecting victim who with a good signal, and he would quickly run them all through. And had a little script. Hello, my name's Johnny. I've got a pet rabbit called Floppy.
Yeah.
My favourite football club is Manchester United. Things like that.
Yeah.
And but we had, Tim would actually remember the call sign because he's like that. But it was this very famous island nation, rich in oil. It was not Burma because that's anyway, we had the Crown Prince's father-in-law to this bloody place, right? In the middle of nowhere. It's a Pacific island. Something. I can't remember. But it was really big ticket stuff. It's just pure DX. But not only that, he was quite a good signal. And just Tim kept him lined up for the next poor victim, next poor little cub who would say it. And he couldn't speak very good English. So all he was going is, oh, yes. I mean, knew what was happening. He just knew what we were doing. And he, good as gold, he must have spoken to about 100 cubs, telling them,
He's probably thinking, when's this going to end?
I understand. What a lovely floppy bunny rabbit, whatever. Best DX is the first DX ever, I think, which is that guy on 4 watts on 27 megahertz to Texas. That was just, it shocked him as well. That was the nice thing. And the other nice thing is if you're on low power and you get a big DX station I'm running a kilowatt here and we got this, that and the other. And you go, all right, just got 5 watts here, mate, and a bit of wire.
You still do that now.
Oh, yeah.
You say that, you'll say, oh, just a wire dipole and 5 watts. I'm like, hang on, I'm running a 5-element beam and 2 kilowatts.
Yeah. Now, years ago, Kilo Charlie 3 X-ray, Kilo Charlie 1 XX, or Whiskey 3 Lima Papa Lima. These are East Coast, in the main, contest stations. One's owned by the guy from DX Engineering. He's Whiskey 3 Lima Papa Lima. I can't remember, but anyway. So when we get up in the morning here in the UK and fire up in 40 meters, US is gone, right? Went hours ago in the main. Unless you are equivalent of a bloody broadcast station like these contest stations in the US, where they have a 160 meter, an 80 meter, a 40 meter, these separate stations. And there's guys there, teams of guys who are just doing 40, 4 hours on, 4 hours off, whatever, So you've got the guy whose job it is running a 200-foot, 6-element, full-sized Yagi on 40 meters, a monster of a thing, probably stacked as another one, half a wavelength below it at 110 feet, And it's almost like a VHF Yagi, but on 40 meters. And I just thought, I'll just see how CQ Worldwide's doing this morning. And I just drifted down, and there he is, 10 to 20 over S9. I'll say
when
it's
he shouldn't be there.
He shouldn't have been there. It's impossible. I've never heard a US station there before. So he's got the 1500 watts. He's by the coast. He's got this, effectively a broadcast station. Whiskey 3, Lima Papa Lima, CQ contest. It's like, whoa. I thought he'll never hear me with my little 6-inch nail coming out the back of the radio here. Well, I think it was a G5RV or something at like 15 feet on 40 meters. I thought I'll give it a go anyway. Mike 0, Mike Charlie X-ray. Whoa, big signal, M0MCX at 100 watts. And I'm thinking, I'm not a big signal at all. Your kit's doing that, right?
Yeah.
So that was exciting. I think it was Kilo Charlie 1XX. I think it was that. Or there's a TTT station as well, isn't there? Kilo 1. But anyway, it was one of those. It was one of the 3 big stations, and I couldn't believe it. It's 11 in the morning. It's coffee time. We're up and about, being out with the dogs. Amazing.
Yeah, well, I had a similar thing the other day. I worked Yankee Lima 2 Sierra Mike in Latvia on 20 meters. And he's calling, then he's a strong signal. He was 5x5. And I heard what he was running. He was running, I think he said, a kilowatt into I'll have to check his QRZ, but I'm pretty sure it was a 5-element beam. He's running a kilowatt into a 5-element beam. And I thought, we'll see if he hears me. Yeah. It was I was using the DX Commander vertical.
Okay.
And I ran 100 running 100 watts.
Yeah.
And gave him a call when he comes back, and he was 5x5 on the meter, and I thought, I'll be 5.1 or something. And he says VK7HH YL2SM. 5x5, good signal. I went, how am I the same signal that you are with your power? And anyway, I replied back to him, and we exchanged pleasantries, and he said, yes, he says, your 100 watts working very well, and then he worked in the next station. And it's funny how that happens sometimes. So,
my first field day, I went to the local club, and they had a 100-foot tower with 2 23-element tonners. Have you heard of those VHF aerials out your way, antennas? Never mind. No. Very, 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 very simple antenna, extremely lightweight. I've got a 17-element one down the shop, actually. But anyway, on VHF, and we had this, we called it the Dalek. It was a monster of an amplifier, homebrew amplifier, and which delivered 2.8 kilowatts, I think, on the 2-meter band. It was a monster. And but nobody was running. And I said, I'd heard contest station. I said, I've always wanted to be a contest operator. So they sat me in the chair, gave me a microphone and a pen, because it wasn't computer logging. And I said, well, off you go. So CQ contest. It was VHF field day. Who was that? It was Golf 4, Whiskey Alpha Charlie. Golf 4, WAC. Contest over. And I got called by a Yankee Ocean. Now, I think that's Romania. Okay, so from UK, Romania on VHF apparently is a really big deal. But I didn't know this. And he must have phoned his friends to say, UK's coming through on this frequency. So I had a pile up, because they must have been a club or something. They all phoned each other, didn't they? Oh, it's this guy. So I was running YOs. Anyway, somebody looked over my shoulder, and then I could hear them all this kerfuffle going on. Callum's running these Yankee Oceans into Romania on 2 meters. And I thought, I just don't understand, because I was very new. I was still an M3. I just thought, well, what is the big deal? I could do this on 40 meters every day. But of course, it was on 2 meters. Right. The trick, by the way, if you're ever doing a field day, of course, and you'll know this, Hayden, if you're doing a 2 meter and 70 SEMS field day, religiously, you have to say, ideally, have a 70 on top of your 2 and a couple of radios or 2 VFOs, is move everybody from that frequency. By the way, I'm listening also on 4, 3, 4, whatever. and literally make a sked right there and then. I said, "Do you have 70? Yes. Can I meet you there right now? Yes." You get another 100 QSOs that way.
Yeah. No, that's a very good tip. That's what we do all the time. We'll have several radios all running on all the different frequencies, and then when someone calls, the challenge is to
try and
figure
move
out which
around.
radio they actually which radio they actually called on.
Did you know that the original you will hear people going CQ20 or CQ40, okay? It's because in the old days, you might have a dedicated radio for 40 meters and a dedicated radio for 20, and you know which microphone to pick up.
Yeah.
That's why people, and it's just stuck. It's just extra words to say to cause a bit of a noise, isn't it? CQ 40 meter band, CQ 40. But it's so that the guy goes 40 meters. Oh, that's this one here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I must have had probably what would be one of my Elmers was the same, except he did it with repeaters. He'd say, "You need to say what repeater you're on." He says, "Because I walk into my workshop and I don't know which microphone to pick up."
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So now still when I'm driving mobile or something, I'll say VK7HH mobile listening on RTC, which is the repeater call, last three letters of the repeater call sign. And I remember because I did it a number of years ago because unfortunately he's a silent key now, but when I was speaking to him, I called on one of the more obscure 70 centimeter repeaters. And I had the 2 meter repeater operating because it was a dual band radio with dual receive. And I had the 2 meter repeater sitting on there, and I called on the 71, and he come back to me on 2. And I said, and then I said to him, I said, I gave him a call back on 70 because I knew what had happened.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a slight pause, and he comes back and says, "Oh, you caught me out. You need to say what call sign you're on so that I know which microphone to pick up. I've got too many microphones."
Oh, that's funny.
But
there's Don.
Yeah. Sorry?
Don's on the chat. Sorry, I just saw Don on the chat.
Oh, hi Don. Yeah, it's good. WJ3U. Good to see you in the chat, Don. Always a great supporter of all of our videos, Don.
He's a professional supporter of everybody's. Amazing.
It's amazing how much support and help you get from the amateur radio community, isn't it?
It is indeed. I'd say there's about 500. I've adjusted something this end. I apologise if I've gone a bit too loud. I can change that.
No,
find them out.
fine.
I've got too many. 1, 2. I'm okay, I think.
Yep.
There is 400 to 500, maybe 1,000 real, regular, dedicated ham radio guys that support all of us actually, and are guaranteed to give you a nice comment, give us a bit of encouragement. That's nice. That really is nice.
I don't know about you, but it's not always easy to do this and to make videos. You lose motivation. Well, I lose motivation. I don't know about you.
It's the hardest thing to do. I read somewhere after doing about my 25th video that the first 100 are the toughest.
It's probably true.
And I thought, oh, Jesus, really?
How many videos have you done now?
750-ish. It's a colossal amount. Most of them are actually quite good, I think. And by the likes, 96, 97%. Most of them are pretty good. Some of them are very good. And just some of them are just a nice stocking filler, I call it. Just a bit of fun, In fact, I'm about to do a video, Hayden, because I don't know about you, but I'm forever trying to find myself on YouTube. What is it these people want? Because I'll still be me, but if you want a little bit more of this, I'll just do a little bit more of that. If you want, I've got to move my camera now.
I've thrown you out.
If you want a little bit less of that, well, that's easy. I can do a little. I'll still do it all, but I can do more or less. You see, and because my channel breaks down, I guess, to 5 things. I mean, I do funny things, genuinely funny. I kind of script it out and think about the topic, like the 160 meter Nutters Club and I've done how to be a band policeman. And there's a few genuinely, I thought, quite funny. And they were. They've gone down quite well, actually. And then I do my my software modeling, which, I always get a laugh. I always laugh at myself if I make a mistake or whatever else. But, the software, that was the bit I could always hang my hat on, you see. And I still can, although we haven't done one for probably 6 months. I've got my operating, and then I just got my tips and tricks and just stuff, build stuff and whatever. Of course, the last 6 months has just been really moving the factory. Great content, but it's great for the regular subscribers. Yes, he did, Tom. I've just seen Tom's comment.
No, that's made me a bit embarrassed because that can't be true because the DX Commander has to make the best video of his own antenna.
No, I haven't made one for ages. Anyway, so finding yourself what you really want to, you've got to make the stuff that you want to make. The trouble is, I am a little bit on the spectrum. Maybe some people don't know this, but I'm quite away on the spectrum. So my idea of funny might not be other ideas of funny.
No, it's British humour. It's good. You
don't know quite
what to expect.
Yeah.
Well, see, I've got my grandparents and also both my parents were all born in the UK as well, so I understand the humour very well. But
is it different around the world then?
Well, for me, I understand you perfectly. I understand all your humour. It's hilarious. But it might not necessarily be different from someone who's sort of doesn't have that background. Maybe in the US.
Okay.
Might be a little bit different in the US.
Yeah, I don't know. I find funny things funny.
One of the funniest.
I don't know what it is.
One of the funniest things that I've seen on your channel, I'm pretty sure you didn't even mean to do it, is when you were testing the all-band vertical. And you're out there whipping the pole up in the sky, and you took a tumble.
The non-destructive, well, that's, of course, the tumble was intentional because I knew I'd play it back.
Oh, what? That was scripted?
Yeah. I knew I'd play it back
at
double speed. And if I played it at normal speed, you'd see I was very careful how I fell there. The reason for playing it at double speed.
I could just imagine there's a soft cushion there in the grass that no one can see, and you've gone cut.
I didn't actually hurt myself, unbelievably, but
and Lockie's gone cut. That was a great take, Dad.
So in the UK, we used to have a series of programs by three guys called The Goodies. I don't know if this is a worldwide phenomenon. Probably not. It was a BBC.
It was here, yeah. The Goodies, yeah.
Goodies. So anyway, my sister happened to be a nanny for Bill Oddie and Jean Oddie and their children in Hampstead Park. And at half term, my mum and father were often away, so I would quite often stay with Bill Oddie and Jean Oddie. I was only like 11 at the time because my sister was there and they said it was okay. So because of that, I got to hear a lot about how they made the goodies and everything else. And this 200% speed up business, how they made everything funny, right? So that's why I've been experimenting with 200% and even 350% makes your voice. If you laugh at 350%, it's really, it's really quite, I find it really amusing. So I did a video the other day with Mike and I sped it up a few times.
Yeah.
Sped it up, not to 200% because you can't hear what they're saying at 200%. At 150%, you get the little boy's voice. So you got this adult conversation with two little boys' voices. And I found out when I was editing it, I phoned up Mike. I said, mate, I don't know if this is just completely self-indulgent or it's funny, but to me, it's really funny. I don't know if it is. To this day, I don't know if it is.
Well, I think it was that video with Mike that in one of the video edits, you were in the shop and you had sped something up to, I think, 200% and you had your head in the cupboard or something and you were like, 200%.
Yes.
I think you said at normal speed you would have been able to hear it, but at 200%
it just kind of... Oh, fine.
Thank you, Tim, W7WHN, for the super chat. Thanks, Hayden and Callum, for putting out great and informative content on your channels. You spoke about MMA antenna modeling on your channel. I find those videos very informative and very interesting.
Okay.
And So some of the other things that you've done on YouTube. So we talked about your channel a little bit, but do you want to elaborate some more? I find that especially the videos on MMA&A, the way and your antenna videos, because I think for me the antennas are the things that interest me the most in ham radio, and your videos that you do, especially the ones with MMA&A, are so simple and to understand. You've done a couple. One was on like 5.8, a 5.8 vertical over a quarter wave vertical, and modeling all that. So a little bit. What's been the background with your channel, and do you want to talk a little bit about that? What made you do YouTube?
Oh, made me do YouTube. Originally, it was out of necessity. Okay, so I employed a guy called Jed or Gerald, Jed. And he was my apprentice in another company I owned, which we still run in the background. I don't get involved in it much, but I got involved a lot then. We did a lot of web and a lot of video work, actually. But it just so happens Jed had a YouTube channel. He was only when he was 15, he had 11,000 subscribers, all 16-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls probably.
A bit like mine.
Yeah. And there's a lot of girls on this channel. Anyway, and I used to watch his stuff, and it was crap, right? But it was good if you were 16,
Yeah.
And but we did a couple of commissions. We were hired by some charities to make their annual sort of video, and so I went out and I bought this camera. I got spare cameras all over the place.
I'll zoom out so we can see.
Yeah, so that's a Canon 5D Mark III. I mean, that is... Now, they make feature films on this with big rigs, I don't use that one anymore. I prefer the one I've got now. But anyway, so when Jed left, and Jed went to the BBC to be a sort of apprentice producer guy, and he does interviews now on BBC Three.
You don't crap anymore, though, right?
He was the top apprentice. I knew he'd do well. Occasionally, I get a text. He says, "I was at a meeting the other day, and you'll be really proud of me, and I used all your training." And that's really sweet, actually. So when he left, I used to occasionally have to make a little film, and I'd send him the raw footage, and it would take him weeks for him to edit it and send it back. And I think it was a waste of time. So I just bought Adobe Premiere or trial run or whatever else, and I made a couple of daft videos about the holiday or something. I don't know. Well, actually, it was some locks and some boats coming up, just to get used to editing. And then the first real video was about how to visualize RF with a balloon. You blow the balloon up. So that's one breath. That's 100 watts, if you like. 200 watts is just another breath. It's not much more power, actually, by the time you've inflated it out. I mean, so that's 3 dB. And that was the first one I did. But then the next one I did was I had to somehow come up with a video that showed people how to build and what is a DX commander. And that's what I did. And it's crap, but it's had 25,000 views because it's not me. It's me, but it's one of my first 100 videos. So it's not, you can't do it. I could do a much better one now, and eventually I will, of course. So
I even look back through my DX Commander build video, and I think I could have done a better build of that. So that's all right.
You can always do that. I can't remember what the question was, Hayden.
Well, there's another question.
So that's how I started.
There's another question that I had that I've just thought about. Where did your banana scale come from? Because nothing matters except for what's measured in bananas, right?
So Rowley remembers this, and he might be able to comment on roughly the sort of video it is. But this is it's not complicated. It's complicated if you don't follow me. So every antenna manufacturer will tell you that their antenna's got 8 dB gain or 4 dB gain or 12 dB gain or whatever else. But I'd model this thing, and I'd say, well, yeah, it is 12 dB at 30 degrees off the horizon. But 20 meters doesn't work like that. 20 meters works between about 3 and 8 degrees for the DX. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of stuff coming in at 12, 15 as well, right? But the long haul stuff is all between 3 and 8. And that's been determined now. So when I do my modeling, I'll model everything at 5 degrees, which is an average of sort of 3 and 8. And it's a round-ish number. Yeah, it's halfway between 0 and 10, isn't it?
Yeah.
However, when you model nearly every antenna on the planet at 5 degrees off the horizon, you'll very often get a minus number, right? Minus a quarter wave will give you about -5. And a dipole at a quarter of a wavelength off the ends will give you about -12, and off the sides might give you about the same, about -5, I seem to remember. It depends where, you see. So this is this bubble of RF. So I get more and more interested in the modeling and this off the 5 degrees. So when you design an antenna, wouldn't it be great to be able to get some gain at 5 degrees? Because if you get it at 5 degrees, you'll get it at 10 and 12 as well, by the way. You're not pushing everything down. It's just to get the bottom end. So then when you compare apples and apples, so when you compare one antenna to another antenna, and this antenna is -5 and that's -3, there's a lot of numbers. But basically, the -3 is 2 bananas better than the -5, in effect.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be dBi. You could call it anything, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the whole
Doesn't
minus,
exist.
the minus dBi thing is people just freak out. So if that's -6 and that's -3, that means this antenna is 3 bananas better than that one. And it was a way of demystifying this whole thing. So I mean, my mission, I suppose, is demystifying some of the myths and legend that people have built up over the years on EHAM, QRZ, and the manufacturers. They jump on the back of it. And by the way, the more complex you make out your thing, the better, the easier it is to market. Because it's super complicated and it does this and it's got, flux capacitive coring with, 5212 alloy machined to within 1 millimeter. It's a baloney. Most of it is crap.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we're just trying to get a 50 ohm match at resonance. And there we are. And the easy way of doing that is just with a quarter wave vertical. Well, that's because you've used it one.
Yeah, and it works quite well. That's actually a good segue. So the original question, Callum, was talk about your YouTube channel.
Okay,
but I think you've done that. So.
Yeah.
But
and that's just morphed.
And I've got a link in the description too if there is anyone joining on the stream who haven't seen the DX Commander before. You've been living in a hole, but
under a rock.
Check him out. Yeah, under a rock, sorry.
Yeah.
But there's some great content on your channel. So how did you come up with the development of the line of your vertical antennas? Because they're absolutely brilliant. My one works really well. It's so simple. When I put it together, I remember getting the pack out and reading the instructions and going, oh, this looks complicated. And then when I started doing it, it was really simple. And it all worked really well. The one that I purchased off you is the all band vertical. Such a simple design, awesome bit of kit. So what was the development and the idea behind that?
So it's very simple. That 2 weeks that we did in Bude, right down by the beach, halfway through that first week, I said to Wendy, we got to come back here again next year, right? So we went back the next year, but this time I had some different ideas. And it just so happens I put 40 meters up one side of the pole and 20 meters up the other side of the pole. And weirdly enough, it didn't work. I had a 3-to-1 SWR on 20, and I think because it was literally that far apart, it just needs a little bit of separation. I didn't know how much separation. I had another 10-meter pole with me where I put 20, 15, and 10 on, and that all worked close together. So when I was... I had a year to think about this, and I thought it's all about separation. So I got a bit of angle aluminium, actually, drilled a hole in the middle, prepared it all. And when I went down again for my other holiday, I just built it. Fingers crossed, this whole thing would just work, and it did. And I just couldn't quite believe it. And I said to a couple of friends of mine, I might make 20 of these for the guys at the club and stuff.
Mm.
And some guy said, I'll tell you what, if you had Don's telling you about the big poll.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
but
somebody said, if you can get the price right.
We will say to Don, who probably missed it earlier, though, Callum sort of spoiled it. It was scripted. You're falling over. That was scripted. We talked about the goodies earlier on. No, it was good. Good video. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
He basically said that if you hit the right price point, you'll sell these like hotcakes. So, but I thought, well, I'm not going to. I worked out how many I'd have to sell to run the house and the family. I thought that's quite a lot. I'll have to mass produce it. So it just so happens that I used to buy like 50 poles at a time and literally keep them in the back of my car and sell them to club members and stuff. And that small profit I kept putting back in. I mean, it's only the last 6 months we've ever taken any money out of DX Commander. Just enough to pay, the mortgage and put some food on the table. And it's just slowly, I've swapped suppliers a few times of all components, and I've finally got the match, I think, about right for the pole, the aluminium, the plastic, the shock cord. Shock cord's from a company called Marlowe. It's a marine shock cord because, somebody complained once the shock cord broke or something. And I thought, I'll look for some marine stuff. So, in fact, we're due a price increase because I've added probably 10 or 15 pounds, dollars, bondolis to the cost over the last 18 months. So the price hasn't shifted and prices have gone up for everything as well. But I mean, so the whole thing is a bit of an accident, really. And I literally was just going to run it in the afternoons, before my sleep, in parallel my other business. And it just so happens I got utterly fed up with the other business. And I thought, and I said we got a management accountant guy and Wendy, and I sat down there one day. I said, honestly, guys, let's just shut this business because I got a funny feeling if I just full time on YouTube and DX Commander, we can make a living. I'm convinced of it. And we have. So there we are. So you'll probably know, of course, Hayden, 95% of my content has really very little to do with the product. It's just about adding value to people's lives, getting them on board, competing with all the other YouTube channels effectively. Hey, why not? And let the product do the singing rather than me, because I don't really want to sing for it. I prefer people like you doing that. Yeah.
Well, so we only sing for it when it is a good product. It's very well put together. Like your kit that arrived was really well packaged. And when I put it, that was one of the questions that I had when I put it up. Someone said, I wonder how it's going to go in the UV, because here in Australia, the UV is a big problem. Ultraviolet light from the sun. And the pole's going to fade. That's going to crack sitting out there, because even though you can use them, your vertical antennas are not really designed to be permanent, are they? They're supposed to be for...
They weren't originally designed, but 90% of them are permanent.
Yeah. So mine's permanent sitting in the backyard, and I lowered it the other day. Excuse me. I lowered it the other day. And no fading. It's been through a full summer. DX Commander sticker, no fading at all. And this is now my base comparison was, what was it? I think I had a it might have been a sign or something else. I'm trying to think what I had. I had something else that had faded over the summer. That's how bad the UV is sometimes.
Okay.
And perfect.
How about the plastic plates, this ultra high molecular weight polyethylene? Is that going crumbly at all? Or?
No.
Like new?
It's like the day I got it. No.
Good.
And the aluminium not tarnishing.
Yeah.
Because you know how aluminium, when you leave it out in the weather after a while, it doesn't go shiny anymore,
oxidizes, doesn't it? It becomes a very hard substance, actually. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Once it's tarnished, it's fine.
Yeah.
And you've got like a Mark III, Mark IV, Mark V. There's no changes to it, but I have a fiber coating that they peel off before they put in the machine now. So you get, I actually supply a mirrored finish these days.
Yep.
But I think if you wiped it with like a light machine oil or something, it'd probably just stay like that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Depends how much rain and salt and sun and all that you get, I suppose.
Because that's the thing when you start to design antennas, and especially if you start to market them, you need to think about all these things because not everyone lives where you do when you've designed it. And
that's right.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're down by the Salt Coast, the stainless hose clamps, the worm drive bit, I've noticed can corrode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a plastic clamp. I've sent a few out. I need to test them myself. I've been into it's made of a nylon 66 black material, UV proof. It's got a either a hex drive or a wing nut. So for your antenna, it would be a hex drive. You put a little spanner on it, basically. Tying it up, and it should just last forever. Or you can undo it and drop the thing back down again. It is fascinating. I mean, the reason for the Marlow shock cord change, I don't know if you've got the Marlow shock cord and you don't try it, but if the middle is black, whereas the other stuff I used to have it was lighter somehow. Marlow shock cord's got more shock and stretches further. And it was 3 times the price, but I'm only supplying 3-4 meters of it now. So you don't need any paracord in the system anymore. It's just all shock cord, just some guy lines. We should supply. We don't supply the guy stakes because I just feel everybody's got their own idea about how they want to guy things, you know. And it would just add to the weight and the cost, to be honest.
Don says the oxidized coating of aluminium is sapphire.
It's not real sapphire, but
no. You know, some very expensive antennas after all.
No, what I'll do is I'll ask everybody to send their plates back for refurbishment and mine the sapphires.
Yeah, the Rolly said in the comment about the wing nuts as well. They make it very handy because obviously my DX command is on the lawn. It's out in the backyard.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is it's very easy to undo all the wing nuts, pull the radials off, mow the lawn.
Have you got wing nuts on yours, or
I've got wing nuts on mine.
Did I supply that, or did you supply that?
You supplied that. On the radial plate.
Stainless wing nuts. Yeah, what I'm thinking of doing is putting the wing nuts on a band, like a zip tie, but with a wing nut on it, all the way up the pole.
Ah, yes.
Instead of the hose clamps. But the stainless wing nuts should be absolutely fine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is on the radial plate, so it's just easy to undo it, take all the radials off, just coil them up, put them over off to the side, mow the lawn, put them all back on, and you're good to go. So, yeah, very, very handy. And mine's sitting in the backyard we've had some pretty high winds, but mine's just got the 3 guys at the guy point.
At the bottom. Well, that's all I do. A couple of people, I've had 2 customers that have had a break. I've sent them another one. They've had another break. And on the 3rd one, I just sent them one for free. And I said, look, you know, I can't bear the thought of you having this problem.
Yeah.
Is it? But I mean, that's 3 in what, 1,500, 2,000 or 2. But you can guy it at the 5 meter point. It just, if they're getting tremendous wind, anything would have broken then. You know, bridges fall down, you know. The amount of aluminium antennas that get trashed every year and across the world is many more. That's even pro rata percentage over a DX Commander. I thought it's higher, but I thought it's higher.
Tom says, why not bury the radials? Because I'm in a rental, so I can't really go digging up the backyard.
What you can do, Hayden, is you could use, I mean, I do, and I'm not trying to sell these. I'm sure you can get them around the world. You can get these, I call them radial pins. They're 2-inch long biodegradable pins. You can just pin down your radial, and then the last foot you leave where you don't mow, but you maybe put a little bit of roofing felt or something down. That would kill that bit, of course. And then your radials come up there to your base plate. And then you'd be able to mow over that lawn because they're pinned down. And James and I, after 6 months, we've just taken the 18 meter. So there were 62 radials between 9 and 15 meters long. And we just pulled hard, and all the radial pins went doing, 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 doing. And we just pulled the whole lot out of Uplands Farm. We did that last Friday, actually. Haven't got any video. Well, I've got a little bit of video, so I'll show that to somebody one day.
Yeah.
But they did come out. But we could have couldn't see them until we started pulling them. They disappeared. And that was in winter growth, you know.
Yeah, for sure I would bury them if I had a more permanent solution, but I'm not going to be here for too long, so that's all right. So a couple more. So Steve N4SFC says, I need to get me one for my RV portable. Yes, you do. Now you don't just have the all-buoyant vertical, you've got the Expedition.
The Expedition is effectively similar, but a shorter pole. And to keep the cost down, there's less holes and a few other things. So you get 4 bands, but that is basically 40 and 15, 20 and 17. So there's 3 elements. And then there's a bit on the side where you can put 10. So you've still got 40, 20, or 30, if you want 30 and 20, whatever. 17, 15, and 10, or CB. And that gives you 6 as well, your favourite band.
Yeah.
And your DX Commander, the 48-metre element, as a 1 3/4 element, will do quite well on 6, you know.
Oh, I'm surprised how well it actually works on 15.
Oh, with the 40-metre element.
Because you've got the 40-metre element, which goes up, comes back down, which effectively disconnects the end of the 40-metre element that folds back over on 15, and it acts like a 5/8 vertical, doesn't it?
5/8-ish, yes. It's somewhere between that and 3/4 waves. Somebody said that a real 5/8 pushes the current further up, but I think it's doing that anyway on ours.
No, it works quite well. So we've been streaming for 1 hour and 12 minutes, and I'm conscious that it is late over there, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I have to go to work after this.
Well, there we are. It's nothing to do with me. It's all to do with you. You're the one who wants out, not me.
No. So all I was going to do is move on with a couple more questions.
Oh, excellent.
So do you have any other interest in the hobby? So we talked about your HF contesting, DXing, helping out with, your building of your antennas and helping out with the clubs and all that sort of thing. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that we might not know that you have an interest in? Are you interested in the higher bands, or you don't do as much on those?
I will do. I've got an Icom 9700 sitting here. That's going to have 2 and 70 on it, but down the new farm. So, yeah, we'll be doing SSB contesting probably on that.
One of these.
That's it, one of them.
One of these.
We'll see how we get on with that.
Do you do 6 meters?
No, but we'll do a bit of that as well. I'll do a bit of everything once I haven't been on, apart from mobile, and I try and get my 1 QSO a day even on mobile. But I haven't really been doing anything. Bit of 40 meters and a bit of 2 at the moment. That's all I've been up to. I mean, I'm feeling out of it. Oh, Mike Smith remembers the fact that I've got a 2-meter delta loop in the design stage, and I've got the components for that. I've got a number of antennas. I mean, one antenna is going to be fantastic that I'm not even talking about, because people then go, "Oh, when's it be ready?" and all this sort of stuff. The new big one is these hexagonal plates for the DX Commander Rapide. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be good because with 100 meters of wire, they'll end up with 16 quarter waves or 32 eighth waves. And I think 32 eighth waves would be fantastic. So they'll get, that's for 20 meters. So they'll get a lovely signal on a really compact 7-meter high antenna. Very light, easier, cheaper to ship. If the costs come down all over the place because there's just less of it, it'll do the job.
Will that be more suitable for SOTA and portable ops like that than the Expedition?
I'd say the Expedition.
For that sort of thing.
Have I got a SOTA? I'm not quite sure if I have a SOTA antenna, really. I've got portable.
You can definitely use it. But
I'll have to send you one. The little DX Commander Expedition is a fantastic. Well, Rowley, that's all he uses. You could the end is you just got to be careful with it because imagine that, and that's nearly 10 meters long in a package that big. So the last section is pretty little, right? As long as you don't stand on it or snap it, it'll last because the wind will it'll just move around. It's fine. Oh, Roller uses the Expedition for rotor, so there we go.
Yeah.
And this business about you need 120 quarter wave radios, that's ridiculous. I watched Johnny from Signal Search actually complaining bitterly because he'd never really taken a DX Commander Expedition down, went up this bloody great hill, and it started raining. He just got all the radials, and instead of going, I'll just spend another 30 seconds, he just shoved it all into his backpack and then bitterly complained at the end of this, they're all tangled up. Well, there's two ways out of that. Shorten them, cut them all in half and make more of them so they're just easier, a bit of Velcro,
Yeah,
shove them in.
a bit more
I mean, that's
manageable.
all right. It takes me 30 seconds to take mine down. So I don't know what went wrong with him. And so he said, oh, there's Steve. He said he wouldn't recommend it. And I thought, well, I don't know. And he said that he couldn't guy it anywhere, but there was a tree there and there was no wind. He could have just laid the whole thing up against it. I don't know. Sometimes there's an element of practicality we need in our hobby, isn't there?
Yeah.
Particularly if you're going portable. You've got to be, if I see a tree.
You've always got to think ahead, don't you?
Well, even when I'm on holiday, I see a tree. I go, next year, if I come here again, I could use that tree, look.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about it.
Well, one of the videos that I did the other day, which is my first soda trip. That's why I'm going down the soda train. And even getting up there, and I'm thinking, how do I support? If I've got a squid pole, how do I support that on a mountaintop? And when I went up there, it was actually so simple. The amateur that was with me, he brought his squid pole up, and he just stuck it next to a tree and just used a bit of Velcro around the tree. We're only up there for 10, 15 minutes.
Well, there we
We're
are.
not up there for very long. If it falls down, it doesn't matter. Lift it back up and Velcro it again.
You've got it.
So
you got it. And some people are just, you got to be able to think laterally. I don't know what the expression is. You just got to be able to think mechanically. I mean, if there's no wind, you can lay these things up against a tree. You don't even need any Velcro. But I mean, up a mountain, you're going to get the odd gust.
Yeah, and for those that are using it, because I know that they're popular for parks on the air and stuff, that would be very handy for just a simple radial bed. Just throw it out and it'll just work.
Yeah.
But
I mean, then there's the other argument, isn't there? Well, why don't you use an end fed? An end fed on 40 meters is 20 meters
long.
So you're still into trees and all sorts. Even 20 meters is 10 meters long.
Yeah. And if you want to save space and you're using a squid pole, you could run it vertically up the squid pole and then out to the side, and then it ends up becoming an inverted L. And but I'm a
kind of a no compromise guy, but make it easy at the same time. So always remember, you can cut your radials in half, keep the same amount of wire, and put them back out again. It won't make any difference. Yeah.
No, and like even
twice as many, half as much.
Yeah. I mean, I doubled my radials the other day because I've got 80. I run the 80 meter inverted L. So I had 4 sets of radials, and I've now got 8 sets of radials. I don't know if it made any difference.
No,
but I did it. It looks better on the graph. So now when someone comes, that's my DX Commander. Oh, there's some nice radials there. Yep.
Yeah, lovely. Well, I've got a great test coming up before you shut down, is that we'll build a 40-meter vertical at the new place. I'll stick this on receive. I'll put my 590 here on receive on another vertical, and I'll connect 2 radials, 4 radials, 8. We'll transmit with a little camera down here, transmit from the field up the 6 miles away. So that's point to point, all right, so at 0 degrees effectively. And we'll just be able to see the signal strength change as I put more verticals on. And that's a real world 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. I'll stop at 32.
Martin's got it right. PE9TIG. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
The KISS principle.
Absolutely, Martin.
Yeah. So, before we do shut down, there were just a couple more things.
Yes.
So we've mentioned about the projects that you've been working on, moving workshops and all that sort of stuff. Now, I wanted to talk about the Nebula.
Nebula.
Nebula antenna. That.
Well, we will end up with one of them in the field. I've actually put a pole to the side yesterday. I said, don't sell that one, Lockie. Keep that one. There's a few I want to put up to start with over the summer, and then full of winter, we'll have the big nebula up for 80 meters. 80, 60, and 40, and 30, and 20. Having all these on quarter waves is going to be hilarious. Yeah, it's just...
And that's the other thing, too. For those who are just starting out, they can get all the HF bands with one antenna.
I know.
You don't have to worry about it.
I know. Do you know what?
Those...
I mean, I would say for the first antenna, I'd like people to get, go and stick up your little G5RV. Go and stick up your little fan dipole. Well, no, fan dipole's actually quite difficult to make.
Yeah.
But do all these, because if they have a DX Commander from day one, they'll be spoiled.
Yeah.
I think, this is easy.
Yeah.
And no other aerial antenna, as the Americans say, no other antenna will be, you'll be forever. Oh, I wish I'd put that bloody DX Commander back up now.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Here we go. T.O. Steve says, buy once, smile forever.
Yeah, he said that. He said that to me in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. And no ATU, as Tom also said, that's very true. But
yeah.
So, for those that haven't seen the Nebula, how do you even find someone that sells an 18-meter pole?
It took me about a year of research and then 4 prototypes later. From a company,
because these are
a professional business in China. And I got to do this. I mean, there's some people that have got buyers that fly to China. This is before COVID. Fly to China and see the factory. I've got to do it all, from here. Can you please send me a picture of the factory? Can I see the production line? Even to the point where, can you show me, can I take a picture of the pallet? Because I want to before you ship this, I want to make sure that everyone is in its own box, because I don't have a cardboard box big enough for the 18. So they fabricate me the box as part of the price. So they've done the 18 and the 12. The 12 is basically the top of the 18. It's unbelievable. The quality. It's very expensive. That's the only thing. But I have asked them today, it's top secret, don't tell anybody apart from the 66 people watching now. I've asked the Nebula factory to quote for the 10-meter pole, the classic. Be probably slightly fatter because it will be the top of the 12-meter. And the 12-meter pole, has anybody ever seen it? Or just every time somebody's ever come to the workshop and I show them the 18, I show them the 12. They pick up the 12 and they go, how much is this? I mean, they just want to buy it. Yeah. One guy, I said, what are you going to use it for? I don't know. I just need it. It's just occasionally you just handle something. The quality is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm selling them for 109. They should be about 120 pounds. It's not a spider beam 12-meter. It's about half a kilo to a kilo heavier than the 12-meter spider beam. And it is about a meter taller than their 12-meter, actually. So it isn't made in the same factory. And it comes with a big... Imagine your DX Commander Classic. Just giganticize that with a massive screw base, and a lovely cap on the top. It is insane.
Yeah.
And everything's just heavier. I mean, if you thought a DX Commander was fairly heavy duty, I mean, the 12s and the 18s are just ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that trying to push that up by yourself is a bit of an effort too.
Well, I just guide the very bottom, so I just walked it up, I appreciate, Hayden, we can't actually watch all our videos, all of us, right? It's impossible.
Yeah.
So what I did is I made the guys where I thought roughly the 2 near guys. So as I walked it up, I'm hoping that it would roughly go vertical, and it didn't. I had to lower it a few times, loosen the guys, and then push it up again until it was just over top dead center, if you know what I mean. So it would just hold there, roughly straight, but not quite. And then I got the 3 guys in, and then I gradually tightened and loosened until it was straight. And then you can raise it and lower it and raise it and lower it at will once you got the guys set. And I think I guide it in only 2 places, but I think when it's fully up, it'll probably be in 3 places. Just because I don't want to take it down in the storms.
Yeah, I think one of the videos you're walking along the side of it and you're going, "This is the nebula antenna, and you keep walking and keep walking and you keep
Oh,
walking
did I?
and keep
Yeah.
How big's this thing?
Yeah. You can't quite make it. And when it's up, it's like insane. Well, we've all seen a 60-foot tower, and what's at the top. I mean, this is a fiberglass pole, which is 60 foot long.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite.
No. But it is very, very high, and a very good looking antenna that went that you can get now. You sell those, so
we sell about 3 nebulas a month, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 23 orders when I launched it. There was a lot of people waiting for it, and then I've got another 50. We got about 12 left.
Because you get 80 meters on the pole.
80
you don't
meters.
have to do any
quarter wave
or anything.
No, it's just an 80-meter vertical. Yeah. So they get 400 meters of wire for radials.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an insane amount of radials.
Yeah.
You might as well, you want to be big on 80. Not the sort of thing to have in an estate, with a lot of houses around you. For a start off, you're going to have a lot of shit on 80 meters. It's going to be,
Well, thank you very much for the chat and for coming on the channel and talking about your antennas and all sorts of other things, Callum. It's been absolutely.
I've been really looking forward to chatting with you. So marvelous. Well done.
For those who are interested, Callum's link to his channel is below, and also to your store as well. So if you want to check out some of the products that are there, they're below. So check those out. I guess one more thing that I do want to do is we need to. I spent last night putting this together, which really showed you that it didn't really take much effort nor too much time. This I played it earlier. This is courtesy of N0SSC, I think.
Okay.
Sterling.
Oh yes.
And now we've done the intro jingle, so now we sort of need to do the outro jingle.
DX Commander. DX Commander.
I just love that bit at the end with you laughing.
It was funny. Well, I said to John, I just really liked what he was doing. I went, "You couldn't do me a jingle, could you?" He said, "What do you mean?" I just say DX come out, and he did, and it came out the way it did. Just funny.
Yeah,
it was just funny. Well, have a lovely day, Hayden. Thanks for putting me on the show. Your channel's great. Keep doing all the good stuff. And as Tom says, I think your DX Commander video was seriously the best. And because of that, I think we owe you, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. We'll give a vote here on the live chat. I think we should send him an expedition model, all right, for his summits on the air. What do you think?
That'd be a good one to review. That's for sure. No, but thank you for the kind words, and for everyone else for joining us today. I really do appreciate joining on the channel, and it's been lovely chatting with you, Callum, and having a bit of a laugh along the way too.
And why not? You're on the coffee, I'm on the gin, and nobody would know.
Oh, just before we go, thank you to Ham Radio Dude, Sean, for the $10 super chat as well. Great supporter of the channel as well. Check out his channel too, Ham Radio Dude. Some good videos from Sean. Thank you, Callum. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, wherever you are, and we'll speak with you again soon.
Marvellous. Thanks. All the best, mate. And you